So there has been a very long-winded debate as to whether or not magic is an art or a craft or it's both or neither. So like the nosy person I am, I'm not. I just want to bring more discussions into light. I'm here to toss in my viewpoint, which takes a lot more of a logical approach. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts on the subject is, because again, this is a debate that will never end. This is something that will last through the end of time. So yeah. So is magic a craft? That's the easier question, so I'll start with that first. So I'll be using definitions based on Cambridge Dictionary, because why not? Fancy pants dictionary. But so the definition of a craft is, quote, skill and experience, especially in relation to making objects. A job or activity that needs skill and experience, or something produced using skill and experience. So things like metallurgy, woodworking, knitting, those are all crafts. The part that people get hung up on is that magic does not really produce any physical objects. I mean, if we sell products, but selling products is not a craft, right? But notice the second definition of what is a craft. A job or activity that needs skill and experience. So you don't have to necessarily produce a physical object for it to be considered a craft. The commonplace requirement for a craft is, well, you need to produce a physical object, but you don't have to, all right? And notice other examples of what counts as a craft. Things like writing and political craftsmanship are apparently crafts, but those don't produce actual physical objects. Those are, I mean, writing, right? It's just creative stuff, and political craftsmanship, which I didn't even know was a thing until like when I researched this. And honestly, the word craft can mean so many different things to so many different people. If you ask the American Craft Council, they'll give you 100 different definitions, because there just isn't a based definition for what a craft is. So there's still no answer to that. But at the end of the day, I think that, you know, magic still counts as a craft simply because of how similar it is to writing. You have to weave a narrative that enchants the spectator or the reader, and it's a labor of love and dedication. So why shouldn't magic count as a craft? So my conclusion is, yeah, sure, magic is a craft. Sure, why not? Go ahead. But is magic an art? That is the more nuanced question, because, well, there's so many different definitions to art, a lot more than what craft is, and even then, there's really no set definition to it. But again, I'll be using the definition according to Cambridge Dictionary. Quote, the making of objects, images, music, etc. that are beautiful or that express feelings. There's another definition that is, quote, an activity through which people express particular ideas, unquote. Can magic express feelings or particular ideas? Yes, then magic is an art, right? Not by default. So if you go by the criteria of art expressing feelings or particular ideas, then magic can be an art, and magicians can be artists, but only if they fulfill that one specific condition of, well, do these effects actually express the magician's feelings and or their particular ideas. So not all magicians are artists, and not all of magic is an art. So I would say people like Garrett Thomas, Michael Vincent, Derek Delgado, and other people count as artists, even though they're doing magic. So is magic an art? It really depends on whoever is performing it and whoever is thinking about it. But at the end of the day, does it really matter? I mean, whether or not magic is an art or a craft or both or neither, magicians will still be performing magic at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. A lot of people will use the excuse of, oh yeah, magic is an art, to bloat their own egos, and that goes for everything. I mean, it's not just magic, right? It goes for AI illustrations and whatnot, right? And while you have that side of the coin, you also have people who actively enhance magic into an art. But again, that doesn't really affect us as performers and sleight of hand artists, but it does affect people looking into magic. So if people outside magic recognize magic as an art, then maybe magic will become something more. It might become something more than just your run-of-the-mill curiosity or like your monkey show, now it becomes something that people can watch and enjoy, be enchanted for, and appreciate all the hard work that went into it. Because I realized that a lot of people just think that magicians, the only thing separating magicians and normal people is just knowing a secret, but that's not true. We have so many hours dedicated to this one specific thing, and we can't even show the the fruits of our, well, we can show the fruits of our labor, but we can't really show how much pain we went through, right? It's just, you just see this beautiful image, but you can't see all the hard work that went into it. So people just assume, oh yeah, magicians just think it's, yeah, magicians just know secrets that I don't know. And that's the distinction that separates us from other people, right? But that's just speaking in hypotheticals, so it doesn't really matter, right? That's where you're wrong, because there might be actually a tangible change if magic is recognized as an art by people looking into magic. That's where Congressional Resolution 642 comes into play. So Congressional Resolution 642 is where the question, is magic an art, actually has an impact on not only magic, but the rest of the world. So to give some background, Congressional Resolution 642 is a proposed legislation suggested by multiple magicians, including David Copperfield, David Blaine, and other politicians as well, and other magicians as well. So the legislation says that the House of Representatives need to do two things. One is recognize magic as a rare and valuable art form and national treasure. Two, supports efforts to make certain that magic is preserved, understood, and promulgated. This means that magic can move out of the toys and games section and have its own thing. This means that certain effects can actually have copyright protection, because if you actually remember, there's actually this lawsuit of a certain magician copying Penn and Teller's shadow act. But a teller was like, no, you can't do that. I'm gonna claim copyright protection for my act. And he won the case. So, you can copyright magic effects, right? Not exactly, because it doesn't count as a work of art. So the only way that Teller could actually gain a copyright protection for his Shadows act was actually not as a magic effect, but actually as a dramatic pantomime and choreographic work. So it's not even as a magic effect. So we can't even copyright magic from other like plagiarism and whatever. So having people recognize magic as an art means that now we can protect our effects from other plagiarism. Plagiarists are I don't know how to nounify this word, but this also means that magic can get funding for preservation, for teaching, for whatever, right? So although magic as an art might not really affect magicians like personally, magic as an art is important for magic as a whole, for all the subsequent generations in the future, and maybe for just the art form in general, if it is recognized as an art in the future. And those are my thoughts. I honestly don't really care about what people label magic as long as they have the capacity to care about magic. If that sort of makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense or if that's going to take it out of context, but as long as people don't use it to overinflate their egos or whatever, I think that if they manage to actually enhance the art in any way, then they can label it as whatever they want, right? I think that if it benefits magic, then go ahead, label it however you want. But I do highly hope that Congressional Resolution 642 passes, because that will only benefit magic as a whole. It'll benefit future generations, it'll benefit the art form, the preservation of it, and just about everything. But unfortunately, there hasn't been any sort of update to Congressional Resolution 642. But you can still sign the petition to the resolution. I'll put a link to the petition down in the comments below. But it's only open for US citizens, so for people like me or everyone else, it's not really that useful. But honestly, yeah, I think that this is honestly a really interesting discussion, especially because it's art as a whole has been really challenged throughout these couple of years. And I think that, it's nice to just have any sort of discussion that puts things into perspective, especially for magicians as a whole. If that makes sense. I don't know if I even say anything that makes sense, but anyways, that's that's gonna be it. Is magic a craft? Yes. Is magic an art? Depends. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Stay healthy, stay safe, and see you guys next time.